talking a lot of some NBA talk, and one in particular knows a thing or two about the Phoenix Suns, but also has his own show, and you've seen him on the Ben Garcia show. So joining us, of course, the man himself, Ben Garcia, joins the show. So I was going to give my thoughts here a little bit later on, but I got to tell you, watching last night's game, especially with two small market teams going at it between OKC and Indiana, I mean, I said this about Tyrese Halliburton. I don't think he's a superstar just yet. He's kind of itching his way to his stardom, but he is a star that everybody really rallies around. So that buzzer beater last night was just a classic example of you're in the moment, you got to make a clutch shot, and I thought he did exactly that. I mean, what were your thoughts from that game one last night? Because that was, I think that was just entertaining for the most part. But Indiana, I mean, this ain't no series to take lightly from this.
Yeah, man. You also forgot to mention in the intro that a little bit tardy here. Apologies for that, man. Got my times mixed up there. Hey, listen, there's a first for everything, and maybe last night Howie's first time stepping into the superstardom, but I think that's the first time I've ever been tardy to a guest appearance. Hopefully, I don't make that a normal thing. I'm sitting over here taking a break, playing college football, and I'm like, wait. What the heck? Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to be on this show. So apologies for that, man. What I will say right off the bat is I really appreciate you taking the term superstar very seriously. This is something I've gotten in a decent amount of trouble for because I hold that word to a very high regard. I think at most, and during the NBA season, you have 6 to 8 superstars. These are guys that if they're on your team, you have a chance to win a championship. I consider three guys in it who maybe people still don't consider those guys to be in that category, given the fact that they're just older, but they're grandfathered in until it's so obvious I have to rip them out. LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, like those three guys are still in there. Then you go to Luka, and you have, I don't consider Jason Tatum to be in this tier. I think Luka Doncic is in that tier. I think Anthony Edwards is in that tier. Tyrese Halliburton is interesting, man, because he's actually a bigger guard. He's 6'6", 6'7", if I'm not mistaken. But he's not he's not built like a linebacker. He's just a skinny dude out there dropping buckets. It's the correct take right now to say he's not a superstar because we've seen guys get to the finals, like a guy in my own backyard, Devin Booker. Devin Booker was in the same conversation Tyrese Halliburton is in right now, the fringe superstar status, which was in 2021, they go up 2 games to none on the Bucks, and every Suns fan was like, superstar. Yep, got it. He is. Sorry, he just he is what he is. And then the real superstar in that series, Giannis Antetokounmpo, came back and beat them 4 straight games. Tyrese Halliburton, you can make it to the championship not being a superstar. But for now, what he's doing, I mean, it is no longer a hot take. You might disagree with it, but it's no longer a hot take to say Tyrese Halliburton is more clutch than LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. Like, these are insane names. You might not agree with that right now, but the guy's shooting 85% on buckets in the last 2 minutes of game to take the lead. So watching him last night, and I had the game on and I turned it off for a little bit because it was really boring. And I turned it back on halfway through the third quarter. And, at that one point you're just like, yeah, the Pacers are done. I don't know what it is, man. There is just a time frame where when all hope seemed lost, these guys figure it out. That's when they play their best basketball. And combine it with the Thunder. Had some pretty bad adjustments late in that game, which pulling out Chet Holmgren and pulling out Isaiah Hartenstein when not being able to get those rebounds and effectively ended up with the rebound and then giving Tyrese Halliburton for the bucket. Tyrese Halliburton, if he wins this championship, he's a superstar. You can't even argue it anymore. I think SGA is in that same tier as well, where it's like, I think he's closer than Tyrese is. I'm like, I think you're a superstar, but win this title so I don't even have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, no kidding, right? And
Yeah.
it's funny because and when I think of superstar, and I take this very seriously because we're paying you that much amount of money, we expect there's going to be some superstardom from there that we know that this is what we've invested into you, right? And especially as a consumer, I'm one that I want to make sure my product is top tier, no matter what the case may be. So it's funny because a lot of people have been questioning about, and I'm sure you probably have been able to answer this question best as well. But when I think of face of the league, we watch, Michael Jordan be that guy being face of the league, very charismatic and somebody too that took a lot of his work very seriously, whether you liked him or you didn't. But he was true to himself. So as I look at right now with the state of the NBA, we've been talking about Jason Tatum being face of the league, but my problem with him is fourth quarter, it's clutch time. You cannot afford to fold in at least up in the last quarter of the game where no lead is safe. You saw that last night. And when I looked at Anthony Edwards, and this was his chance to be that guy for Minnesota to get over the top, I'm watching highlights of him standing around, and then he's saying, I got no opportunity to the ball. Sometimes faces of the league, you got to demand the ball at times. It's not saying you got to be arrogant, but when you got to set the tone for your offense and for the rest of your starting five up out there, you got to demand it. You got to communicate, and you got to set the tone from there. So when you think of face of the league, I mean, agree to disagree. Is that kind of something we expect from somebody like that? As much as I watched that clutch shot from Tyrese Haliburton, that's face of the league stuff. That's the stuff that you got to come up clutch with, right?
Yeah, I don't know why everyone, and when I say everyone, I'm not pushing you into this because honestly, I just don't know your views well enough to be able to say exactly what it is you think. Michael Jordan was the face of the league up until he retired. And I think he was almost pushing 40 when he retired. Even when he was not 90s, 93, 92, 91 Michael Jordan, he was still the face of the league. LeBron James, until the NBA, until he hangs it up, is the face of the league. I really couldn't care less what his statistics even look like, because when you are that dominant for 2 decades, you are the face of the league. I don't know why everyone, and that's what I bring up the everyone thing, is so quick to just kind of push him out, because I would be a little bit worried what the NBA is going to look like post LeBron James. And I don't disagree with it. Probably should be an American-born athlete who's the face of the league. The foreign players, I'm not really talking about Canada, but the other, like Serbia, Slovenia, Spain, those type of countries, they just come with a different personality. And it's not an arrogance. I think LeBron is, I'm sure, a little arrogant, but I don't, when I first think of LeBron, think arrogance. Anthony Edwards, I do. And I think some of the issues with him off the court are some of the reasons why I might have trouble putting him the face of the league.
Sure.
One playoff series doesn't make you face of the league. I think if there's someone who's knocking on that door, it's LeBron James's teammate. And I hate the Lakers more than anyone in this world. I'm a Suns guy, but I'm also honest and fair. And although I do really like LeBron James, I think the closest person to that right now is Luka. And I would say Nikola Jokic, but he just doesn't want, he's not really interested in that.
Yeah,
you kind of have to be, you kind of have to be interested in doing that. And even Luka, I'm like, is he interested in it? Maybe not. Jason Tatum, no. I think he is a really good player, but he's someone that he has to be able to prove that he can win. And this isn't his fault, but with at least a little bit of instability. People always say, well, he's been to conference finals almost every year he's been in the league. I'm like, yeah, he's on the Celtics. He's inherited a really good franchise. Yeah. I mean, that entire Celtics team, I got in so much trouble with Boston Celtics fans. I mean, I put out a tweet one time, got 700,000 views, and I had Boston reporters in my DM. I didn't even want to deal with it. They were telling, because I mentioned after they beat the Suns by 50 by like 50 points, I think it was. And Jason Tatum didn't play. And I was at that game and I said, hey man, Jason Tatum, really, really good player. Very good player. One of the better players in the NBA. Top 15 player, easy. Probably top 12, probably top 10. But look at Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Luka, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Trying to think of Giannis Antetokounmpo. When those guys don't play, are their teams that good? Jason Tatum's team's like 11-2 when he doesn't play, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh, well, they beat the Blazers and they beat the Sun. And I'm like, okay, well, what about in the playoffs when they beat the Knicks by like 40 in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference or in the Eastern Conference semifinals? They didn't have Jason Tatum in that game. It's not anything on Jason Tatum, but it's like one of those things, like the Brock Purdy argument. He's a good player, but it's probably a lot of the things around him that help elevate him, which is not a bad thing. I bet you Devin Booker wishes he was on the Celtics than he was the Suns at times. Yeah. So I think the title of face of the league, we're going to still have, I think, 2 to 3 years to mull it over. But I think Luka's in that conversation. Unfortunately, I think Ant is as well. I'm not a huge fan with the things he does off the court, and those type of things bother me. Booker's not in the conversation, and until he raises that floor. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they're just not interested in it. Giannis Antetokounmpo's interesting, but by the time LeBron retires, is Giannis 33? Steph Curry, at one point was kind of pushing LeBron for that title, and then LeBron happily spanked him in the 2016 NBA Finals, and then he had to go call Kevin Durant to help him out. It's got to be like, when you say face of the league, it's got to be like in 2013 when someone said, hey, who's the face of the league? It was like LeBron. And anyone that said someone else was just wrong.
Straight to the point.
It was just wrong. Like now when you have, Tyrese, well, what about Anthony Edwards? Well, what about Curry? Like it's LeBron still. And it will be until he retires. And I think Cooper Flagg's got a really good chance to grab that title. Seems like he's a really good kid. From the people that I've spoken to that are close to the situation, which aren't many, 1 or 2 people who covered that team, they're like, yep, grinder, no real issues here. But we thought that was Zion too. And so, which is why it's always one of the things where, like, when I lofted up a trade idea where I was like, hey, what if the Mavericks just took Devin Booker from the Suns? Because there always is a bust factor. Now, Cooper's awesome, and he might continue to be awesome, but we kind of thought that with Zion as well. So it's a fluid situation, man. I think we're going to have a couple years to talk about it, and I'm not so sure who it is. But if I had to lean on someone that's not LeBron, I'd probably say Luka. But also that leans into, like, he's the only good player from that country ever. Whereas, like, Greece has Giannis, but again, Giannis is going to be like 33 by the time LeBron retires. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's well said because, yeah, it's a lot to think about, and we were in this case, like, the minute that MJ retired, everybody was like all looking who's really going to be that next face. And then by the time LeBron arrives, it was just no question. It was straight to the point. We knew it. We watched it. We seen it. And it was just like, that was the feeling. Now it's like, yeah, people are going to be questioning an awful lot about it, but should be interesting come the next few years. But talking about some Phoenix Suns, watching this team years ago, they make it into the NBA Finals against Milwaukee. Unfortunately, came short. But we've seen what Chris Paul was able to do with this team and elevating a lot of the younger players. But, years down the road, it's just, I can't even put a finger on it about the Suns in some of these areas because I want to see Devin Booker absolutely play at his absolute best. But it's like there's points where it's a little bit inconsistent. I don't know what it could be in some areas, but when covering this team and watching it day in and day out, are there some things you evaluate with the Suns that they just got to be able to get better at to get back into, that point where they were right there up and into the finals? I mean, is there kind of some moves in mind that you think Phoenix really needs to look at this offseason?
Well, you're trading. Well, see what the Suns did and you're talking to the wrong guy because there's a lot of outraged Suns fans because there's a lot of hindsight, 2020 hindsight where people are like, well, I knew this wasn't going to work out. Like, no, you didn't. When the Suns traded for Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
And I remember that night. It was middle of February. It was like at midnight. I was up all night, and then I had to do a radio show the next day at like 5 a.m. It was like one of the best times I had ever had. I woke my wife up in the middle of the night. I was like, we just got Kevin Durant. And everyone was thrilled about it. In 2023, in that 2023 season, they played the Denver Nuggets and they lost. The Denver Nuggets were just a better team. That team was a buzzsaw. No one was beating them.
Yeah.
And the Suns' mistakes were they traded DeAndre Ayton for a bag of peanuts, but they also traded Toumani Camara too before they could even see him get on the court.
Yeah.
And Grayson Allen, good player. Yusuf Nurkic, not so much. And then they decided to trade their last of their assets left. Bunch of first-round swaps and second-round picks, which first-round swaps, again, whatever. Those, have you seen the Wizards in the last 50 years? The Suns are not swapping their first-round picks with them. And anyone that tries to say that, it's not going to happen. I'm going to take that the Suns are still going to be better than the Wizards over the next 4 seasons because that's what history tells me. They give a bunch of second-round picks. Whatever. I don't really care. They give Landry Shamet, Chris Paul, and they got Bradley Beal here. And in that instance is where it all went wrong. Probably should have realized it was too much redundancy. Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, they all just do the same thing really, really well. They're actually all really unselfish players, and to Bradley Beal's credit, he took the third backseat to this team. It just never materialized. Defensively, they were abysmal. Devin Booker, who was a pretty good defensive player in 2021, 2022, and 2023, we learned when you surround him with good defensive players like DeAndre Ayton around the rim, Mikal Bridges on the wing, Kevin Durant, who's still a really good defender, and Chris Paul, who's always been a sneaky good defender, Devin Booker actually looks pretty good. He can hold his own. But when you ask him to be the second best defender in your starting lineup, you're going to get cooked. And that's it. And that's always been an issue. The Suns are quasi starting over. They're going to trade Kevin Durant, like 100%.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, this isn't just because the sourcing that came out, not obviously from me, but from other people. I think it was always going to be the Spurs. I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. And if you could get the Suns are going to get something for Kevin Durant. There's the people out there who are mostly Suns fans who are like, oh, we're going to get 4 first-round picks and 3 pick swaps and, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. It's going to be great. It's like, no. And then there's the other people who are like, oh, you're not paying anything for a 37-year-old player. Well, he averaged 26, 5, and 5 last year. He shows no signs of slowing down and almost had another 50, 40, 90 season, 50, 40, 85, if I'm not mistaken, season. That's like elite. He's still a top 10 player in the NBA. He's still a superstar in my eyes. So if you could get a Devin Vassell, a Jeremy Sohan, both good, like Jeremy Sohan, more a defensive player, kind of a high flyer. Devin Vassell, a good 3-and-D guy, just like a very solid player. And you get a Harrison Barnes who could shoot the 3 ball pretty well, and you get that 14th overall pick from the Spurs. I think it's a decent haul for a 37-year-old player who's got 1 year left on his deal, and that's what I think it will likely be. It's actually the trade I put out there a couple of weeks ago. I was like, this feels fair. Now, the Suns are going to have to make a compromise. Do they want to get picks or do they want to get players? And Devin Booker doesn't want to rebuild, so maybe they keep themselves afloat, and I definitely think they can with the right players and the right head coach be a top 6 seed next year. They're not competing for the championship, but they're competing for a quarterfinal spot. And so the Suns could go a lot of different directions. They're going to trade Kevin Durant. I highly doubt Bradley Beal will be on this team next year, whether it's a trade or a buyout. They don't want him here. They just don't want him here anymore.
Yeah.
And so the Suns are a few years away from competing, but that 2021 team, I'm as big as a Suns fan as anyone else, but let's be fair. They were down 2-1 to the Lakers in the first round. Anthony Davis got hurt. Granted, Anthony Davis always gets hurt, but Chris Paul's got hurt. In that second round of the playoffs, Jamal Murray tore his ACL a couple of months before that, and they were starting Frank Campazzo, and literally all they had to do was put 5 guys on Nikola Jokic, and they won that series, and they swept them. And that Clippers series, Kawhi Leonard tore his ACL the series before that.
Yeah.
And in the finals, they got up 2-0 and they let it slip through the cracks. Dude, if any other fan of their team is listening, is like, I don't really care about the Suns, here's one thing you need to hear. And I learned that lesson then, and I learned it before with the Diamondbacks, and it didn't work out in 2023. You can have fun, right? Like, oh, mess around. We made the finals. Wow, we're going to be like, But when you get to the finals in any league, Super Bowl, World Series, NBA Finals, it's no longer, oh my God, we're just happy to be here. You need to win it while you're there because it is incredibly difficult to get back. Like the Diamondbacks a couple years ago, I was always like, I learned that lesson from 2021. When the Diamondbacks went to the World Series, I was like, no more. Because if they had lost the NLCS, I'd have been like, yeah, well, it's just fun to be here. And we'll get it back next year. But I was like, nope, you need to win this now. You need to win this now because it is incredibly hard to get back. And Diamondbacks missed the playoffs last year, and this year they just lost Corbin Burns. Like, when your team gets there, I don't care what form or stage your team is in, you need to win it. Like OKC right now. They have a bunch of young guys, and even if they lose the championship, you're like, they'll be back. Will they be? We all thought the Celtics would be back this year, and they're not. One injury changes everything. So that's where I would go with that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you make a lot of great key points behind that because, thinking about that now, and especially with where it's at, it makes total sense. And I actually kind of love that trade proposal with the Spurs because in my opinion, I felt like Houston seemed like the destination for Kevin Durant because with a young team of what they are right now, they need an experienced shooter. They need somebody that's going to give him buckets. And Kevin Durant, he is not going to take the reins of the team, but he will support and he will provide you, hey, I need buckets. I need points. I need to be able to keep the leads up. And he'll give you that. But, anything could possibly happen. But, hey, if that trade really does go through with the Spurs, the Suns will be in absolute great shape.
Well, I would also say as well, I don't think it's impossible that the Suns could get Stephon Castle for Kevin Durant. They've got a lot. I think it's probably unlikely, but Shams Charania just reported the other day, 4 to 6 teams into Kevin Durant. You already have a lot of really good young pieces on that Spurs team. Do you really need Castle? I mean, you have De'Aaron Fox there, and is it going to work with him and Castle there? Like, if you're getting Castle, then you're getting Castle, Barnes, Sohan, maybe a distant first-round pick. Like, Castle's going to be the belle of the ball there. And I don't think that's impossible. And if the Suns could do that, I would love that. But you're looking at some players that are young that can help you now and kind of develop with Booker and keep you relevant. And then a first-round pick that in this draft is valuable. Like last year, not so much. This year, it's a good draft. It's a really good NBA draft. It's not just flag. There's a lot of good guys in there.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I meant to ask you upon this because, the entire NBA, community was all outraged by just, this thing is rigged. How does Dallas end up getting the number 1 overall pick? But it's funny because me personally, I don't believe in coincidences. I do believe this. Go back to when the Cavs moved on from LeBron James. What did they end up getting? Number 1 overall pick. They got Kyrie Irving. And then you move Anthony Davis out of New Orleans. They get Zion Williamson. And the Spurs, once all those guys retired from that great team Greg Popovich coached, now you get Victor Wembanyama. And then look at this. The one thing that broke the internet, trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers, which is just, the late David Stern would have never have even made that happen, especially with years ago with that Chris Paul thing. And then it just broke the internet. And Nico Harrison gets lucky with just getting a number 1 overall pick. I feel like this. I live in Denver, and we got scratch tickets up here. Okay, I feel like the NBA lottery draft is like a scratch ticket. Okay, these probabilities, like teams that got 14, 16%, it don't matter. No. I watched the NHL lottery draft that literally the team that got fewer percentage points got the number 1 overall pick, the New York Islanders. Anything is nothing is guaranteeable. So when you think about that with some of these teams, is it just hardly critically thinking about that? Because it's like people are like, oh, tank for this. You're going to get the best player. It's not the NFL. But it's like you kind of want to be right there in the middle when you're thinking about with these lottery drafts, right? Or is there a different perspective you kind of think about with this.
Well, I got out of the lottery watching when the Suns won the 2018 draft lottery. And that was the first time they had ever won it. I mean, people were shaking hands and kissing babies over here. And they got the number 1 overall pick. And you know who they got. They got DeAndre Ayton. Well, kind of wish I had the 2nd overall pick, because then I would have, or I think Luka Doncic went 4th. I would have rather had like the 4th overall pick. And like, even if you get the 1st overall pick, man, the NBA is such a crapshoot, because you're either dealing with players who played overseas against non-NBA or even college level talent, or you're dealing with players like DeAndre Ayton, who was one and done. I was a huge U of A fan growing up, just the team I grew up watching. And then I went to Arizona State University to get my degree. And now I'm an Arizona State ASU fan. But at the time I was watching U of A, and I had one source tell me, when U of A lost to Buffalo in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and they told me that guy will not have a very good motor in the NBA. As soon as he gets paid, he will never care again. And now DeAndre, and they already drafted his replacement in Portland. He got his max money and he stopped caring. He had a low motor. And so it's like, not only like, it doesn't really matter where you get it. You just kind of have to get lucky with the 1st overall pick, and then as well as pick the right player. Like Cooper Flag might be awesome, but like, it's not impossible. Harper from Rutgers, can't remember his first name, is better than him, or Ace Bailey or VJ out of Baylor. Like, it's not impossible. So I think it's stupid that the NBA does the draft lottery. Everyone thinks it's so cool, and
yeah,
I think it's stupid. Like there's a reason why the NFL is king. Give the world, like, imagine being a Wizards fan this year. You watched like 15 wins, and now you get like the 5th overall pick. You don't even get VJ out of Baylor. Like those top 4 guys, it's Cooper, those next 3 guys, and then good players, and then after that, it's like a crapshoot. And that kind of sucks for them. So in the draft lottery, man, it's literally all about luck. I mean, the teams with the 14 point percentages, they probably should just get the best picks. But that's just what it is, man. Back when DeAndre Ayton was selected, that was the last draft lottery where the worst team in the NBA had the best odds, and I think it was like 25%. And then it went down and down and down, and now it's random every year. Like the Hawks won it last year and got Zachary Arichashea. So it really, man, there's no good answer for it. It's just all about just trying to stay out of it at this point. Or you're like the Suns and you are in it, but you don't have your own picks, and you were just praying the Rockets didn't win the draft lottery, because then it would have been really tough. What I will say about the Mavericks is, like, everyone's like, oh, the Mavericks deserve this. Oh man, their fan base, good for them. I was like, are you kidding me? I'm an all Arizona sports fan. We haven't won a championship in any sport since 2001. The Cardinals haven't won a division in 10 years.
And they were back in 2009.
Yeah, it was 2015 the Cardinals won their division, and that was the year they got just smacked around by Cam Newton. That's 10 years ago. The last time they went to a Super Bowl was 2008. The Suns, went to the finals and then didn't work out. But Dallas. Yeah, they've got it really tough. No. There's a difference between having like bad luck in sports and just being. You ain't got to
tell me about the Coyotes. I mean, sailed.
Yeah. They walked out of the state. But to be fair, like you're talking to someone that's very honest, and like I'm a big fan, but I'm going to tell you it very true. No one watched the Coyotes. That's why they went to Utah. Yeah, they never did. They people were bragging about packing out a stadium that had like 3,000 seats in it. I'm like, yeah, you should probably pack that out. There's 3,000 seats.
Sharing it with the local college that's right down
man.
The street. Like, what are you doing?
But it is a good point of we lost a team too. Like, I don't think anyone has it worse than Arizona sports teams. I firmly believe that. I think when you look at the Cardinals haven't won a championship in 100 years. They're the longest tenured team in any sport that has not won a championship. The Suns have been around for 70-something years, never won one. The Diamondbacks won one once in 2001. But, like, I was 3 when that happened. So Dallas, people are like, oh, they deserve this. I'm like, no, they don't. They don't deserve this. They fell face first into a lottery ticket. They traded their best player for what was a bag of peanuts. I don't care what people say about Anthony Davis. He's glass and past 30 years old. Like, he's not going to be great for even the next 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, they didn't. I'm like, oh, the season from hell. I was like, oh, yeah, you poor thing. Yeah, the Suns haven't had 18 of those since you won your last championship. So, like, I mean, I was just like, whatever. Like, I work with, obviously, Locked On Podcast Network. And my, my boss, his name's Nick Angstead. He covers the Dallas Mavericks. Yep. And I just texted him. I was like, congrats, I guess. I just like, it's stupid. It's so stupid. I go, congrats, I guess. And then I keep trying to send him trades for Cooper Flagg, but it is what it is.
He's just not answering the phone, is he?
No. Not unless he's yelling at me. He ain't answering that phone.
Well, to add to that, is that just because I think what we're witnessing right now is that I think we're watching Adam Silver's vision come to life. Is he wants parity in the NBA, which means I think it's over for super teams. I really, really do think so. I think we're kind of coming back to, because I remember watching it in the 2000s, and every team had a superstar and had a Robin with them, and it was like best team wins. Right. So it was like everybody was kind of fighting for the same thing. And I think when you look at a lot of these small market teams like we're watching right now, does it kind of give other small market teams hope? So, but my thing with this is, and I've been very critical of Adam Silver about this, because you cannot make every player happy. Okay. These players have to go through adversity to show what they're truthfully made of. That's why the NFL, it's great every single year, because I'm going to get college players that are going to be day one starters right about the gate. And then I look at the relationship with college basketball, and I love watching the March Madness tournament. I mean, my birthday's in March, so I get excited every year when the first round starts. So now I'm starting to see college basketball with the NIL and the transfer portal. I'm starting to see now the big brands. I mean, we watch North Carolina, we watch Duke, we watch a bunch of these big programs. And it was kind of a surprise because we don't really see a whole lot of your number 1 seeded teams play in the championship. And now that we're starting to see these big programs make a jump, I just want to get to know these players, because if I got 2-3 years on a player in these big programs, then I know what I'm going to expect by the time they come up into the NBA. I mean, I'm sure you spoke about this on your show. Is it more of just, how do you kind of perspect this relationship? Is this kind of something Adam Silver is trying to work towards to make it balanced, or are there still some few tweaks that need to be done? Because again, I love watching. I think if we get the hand checks back in NBA, then it'll be much more entertaining, and people would be flooding to watch the televisions on, like, hey, Lakers and Dallas, and hey, look at this team from the Indiana Pacers. Like, now a lot of these players, I knew them because I watched them in college. Is that kind of something that kind of relates to this situation?
I mean, I would agree with you that the super team era is over. I disagree with Adam Silver's way of doing it, because, like, you're right, he wants to make it a level playing field and he wants to make it fair. The problem is, some teams have Matt Ishbia for an owner and is willing to spend so much money that, like, he doesn't even care what he's spending it on. Like, he's like, oh, Bradley Beal, all right, yeah, cool, bring him in. Like, some people run towards the second apron, like Matt Ishbia, for all of his issues, and he's got a lot of them right now. Right now, it's the Phoenix Suns Spartans. Like, if you're just being serious about it,
yep.
And like, he doesn't care. He'll just. Like, I think the dude is, like, actually insane. He cares so little about how much money he spends. And then you have the Boston Celtics, who just won a championship, and all we can talk about is, yeah, they're going to shell a bunch of money in the summertime to get below the second apron because they don't want to pay the tax on it. Like, if you want it to be even, get rid of the second apron stuff. That's never going to happen now. Now that we're in it, and it's over. And some teams just have good owners, and some teams, like, let me just give you a prediction. And I don't know their schedule. I don't know what the roster is going to look like. But let me just tell you this. The Wizards, Bobcats, Hornets, who's another team? Portland Trailblazers, I guarantee you those teams are all going to be awful next year.
Oh,
I just guarantee you it. So in the NFL, what I think the NFL does really well is like the Titans could make the playoffs this year. I can make a very rational argument to you right now, and you'd be like, I don't know if I believe it, but it's a good point that the Titans could make the playoffs. But the Wizards didn't win the draft lottery, and so we're like, oh yeah, they're going to be terrible again next year. Oh yeah, the Hornets, yeah, they're gonna be awful again next year. Like it's just flat to the point. We just know it. So in the NBA, it's just different. The first apron, second apron stuff, I think is completely stupid. I can't believe the players agreed to this because it literally makes it to where the top 1%, Booker, Flag, Durant, all these players are going to make a crap ton of money. And then there's no middle market. Everyone else is just going to make vet minimums. And I'm like, why would you agree to that? But that's CJ McCollum, if I'm not mistaken, who's still the president of the Players Association. They just agreed to a really bad deal. I can't believe I understand why the owners would want to agree to it because they don't have to spend as much money anymore. Adam Silver wants this. And I get that everyone says like, oh, we love upsets. Like, do you? Or would you rather watch North Carolina, Duke, Virginia when they were really good, and Villanova when they were really good in the Final Four?
Yeah.
Ratings say yes. And it's like, oh, market size. No, North Carolina is not a big market. Virginia is not a big market. Okay. And Villanova, I guarantee you 3/4 of your audience could not tell me which state Villanova is in.
How you need to look at Connecticut and
yeah, UConn.
The thing about them is that they're just smart. Dan Hurley just knows what he's doing.
Well, look at the Packers, man. It was a town full of 100,000 people, and they broke the record for the amount of people at an NFL draft, which I don't even know how that's possible, but they did, and they have some of the biggest television numbers. Like, it's about how competent your franchise is, not about the market size. Like, there's no reason why the Arizona Cardinals, who have way more people in this state, we got more people in Phoenix than they do in Wisconsin. So there's no reason why when the Packers come to town, I think in like week 7 this year, 75% of the stadium is going to be Packers fans. Like, there's no reason for that. It's about competency, and some teams have it and some teams don't. Like, it's as simple as it is, man. And Adam Silver, he's very pro player. And I mean, whatever, to the point where like, I don't hate Adam Silver. I hated David Stern. Like, the dude is obviously, he's not with us anymore, and you never want to kick a guy when that kind of stuff happens. But I'll always hold a grudge against him because of the Tim Donaghy betting scandal when he was betting against the Suns, against the San Antonio Spurs when the Suns were supposed to win the finals that year. They were the best team. They played the Spurs, and somehow Spurs just kept on getting a bunch of free throws, and no one found out about it until the offseason. And for some reason, Scott Foster, who's Tim Donaghy's right-hand man, is still in the NBA. Like, that one I can't buy. And so, like, and David Stern was not behind all of it, but, just kind of like let all that stuff go. So, I can't say I like Adam Silver less than him, but, we're in a new era of the NBA, and it's going to be a lot about drafting, which is going to be good. The drafts are going to be much more valuable and better now because we have the NIL, and players are going to stay longer. TBD, man. I think the NBA has gotten more physical over the last year and a half, especially in the playoffs this year.
I love it.
But like, the ratings for the Pacers and OKC are going to be awful. Yeah. And it's because of people like me who like...
Which we expected it.
We expected it, but like, I like watching the Pacers. Oklahoma City, not very much. I like Oklahoma City's atmosphere. I think they're a ton of fun. My guy Jason McIntyre, who I'm fairly close with, I do a lot of work with him.
Love that guy, Jake Mack. Yep, I listen to him every morning.
I'll have to. Him and I were texting the other day because he was, he's asking me to, make something for my.
Dude, I'm gonna need some New York Jets stuff because he comes in on fire with everything.
Yeah. Him and I were talking about one of his takes the other day about got 2 million views about how he wants super teams. Like, I'm not there. I think that is crazy.
Yeah,
but there is a balance of like, I don't really like watching SGA play, and the people are like, oh, you don't like real basketball. I was like, okay, then I don't like real basketball. Like, whatever. Like, you just say whatever you want. Yeah. What I'm watching is not a great brand of basketball. I like the atmosphere of OKC. I love their fan base. Like, it's like a college game every time they're there. They dig into it.
I mean, outside of Sooner football, That's like the next thing that you got.
Yeah,
right?
man. I don't know if you've ever been to a Sooner football game. I went with my wife, and dude was the best man at my wedding a couple years ago. Like, that town shuts down the city for the games. It's weird. It's crazy. It's like a ghost town, and everyone's at the game.
Man. Yeah, they're invested. And look, I living here up in Colorado. You bet yourself I'm going to be down there in Folsom Field. I've been there once. I actually got a chance to be down there on the field when I was there for a concert for Odessa, and it was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. And they put on a great show. But being down there on that field, I can only imagine what the atmosphere would be like in an actual college.
It's crazy.
game. Yeah.
It was like, it continued to instill my belief of like, God, Arizona sports fans, we're just like, we're non-existent. Like, it's just a non-existent thing. It's like, and part of that is Cardinals have only been here for 25 years. And people were grown up on the Cowboys, Raiders, and Niners. And as much as I hate all those teams, like, whatever, but that's just what it is. Until I raise my kids one day to be Cardinals fans, it's not like, that's not going to get fixed until it's fixed organically. Yeah. Diamondbacks as well. Showed up in 98. It's not very long to be here. The Suns, who have a massive fan base, sell out games, no issues, been here for 75 years. Like, that's what happens. And so, like, I love OKC's atmosphere. I think it's awesome. But also, there's like one thing to do in town, and it's go to a game. And the Indiana side of it, like, I like watching them. I think Halliburton's a fun story. But there is a little bit of juice missing, but you need that. These players have to earn the right to, in 2 years from now, we're like, oh man, I want to see them in the finals again, because those guys are bona fide stars. Like, it takes time. You don't just get to be in that club. LeBron had to earn it. KD had to earn it. Steph had to earn it. Kobe had to earn it. Jordan had to earn it. Bird, Magic, all those guys.
Yep.
Like, at first when we saw these guys, we were not stoked to watch them. So there it is, man.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, to add to that, can we get rid of these ridiculous type of locked contracts here? Because it's like the NFL, when they get those contracts, they have no problem moving them or have no problem opting out of them, and they could cut that right off the bat. With the NBA, it's like you're kind of stuck. And it's just like, how in the world are you expected to really rebuild your roster if you got a stuck contract that you can't even like try to move out or get a suitor up over there to get some salary retention? It's like, it's difficult. It's insanity. But yeah, man. No, I will tell you this side note before we close out. But it's funny that you mentioned about Jason McIntyre, and I will say, like, very blessed, because my show, like, I was inspired by Colin Cowherd. This is why I'm going 5+ years running, almost going up into 6 years doing this thing. And I've had the pleasure of having great interviewers, whether it was beat writers, journalists, athletes, coaches. And I continue to do this because this has just been a dream of mine from the very beginning. And so I'm going to live it, to see it through. Because,
I met Cowherd very briefly in New Orleans this past year. Jason, got me into one of their, thing that I probably shouldn't have been in, one of their hoedowns that definitely was I'll just tell you this is a fun story, like, for your listeners is, I'm at this party and I am by far the least popular person there. Like, it's not even close. I am like, Terrell Owens walks in and Shannon Sharp walks in and Chad Ochocinco walks in. And I was like, I'm in the wrong party. I'm not allowed. I'm not supposed to be here. Like, it was, and I won't name drop anyone else, because this sounds rude to say, but it's like, it was me and the next person that was the least popular. So the second to least popular probably had like 100,000 followers on Instagram. And then there was me. And I'm like, and I can't have the stereotypical discussion of like, so what do you do for work? I'm like, I'm Shannon Sharp. What do you think I do for work? But yeah, no, Colin's, good guy. I can't act like I'm close at all with Colin Cowherd. It was just, you and I share that same aspect where a guy who is probably my inspiration as well. And Jason, I met him a couple years ago, and, we played some basketball together and stuff. And he's a good guy. He's taken me under his wing too. So I would say you are idolizing the right people, not just personalities. They're all some really good dudes. And, it's a grind, man. So I get it.
No, absolutely. And they're the best business minds. That's why, when you look at it, it's the business professionalism. And so having those kinds of idols from there, and learning what they do, that's the stuff that is a constant grind, and we put in the work every single day. So again, I'm going to see it until I live this through, because one day it's going to be a household name at some point. But Ben, appreciate you for coming on by, man. I know it was a little bit late, but hey, we got a bunch of viewers up and in here. So we got some hot stuff, but you came in the clutch for this one.
Yeah, man.
Where can people find your show, and then getting a little bit more closer up into the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, man. If people want to hear all things Arizona sports, some very minimal national news, I've learned people like to hear what your niche is. I'm all Arizona sports over on YouTube. You can find me there at Ben Garcia Show. You can find me in all social media platforms. Make it easy for you, Ben Garcia Show. And then again, as well on YouTube, Ben Garcia Show. And then I work in collaboration with the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find our show there with my guy, Brendan Clean, who's a host on there as well. That is Locked On Suns. And I'll tell you what, we've had a lot of listeners who are not just Suns fans over there because everyone wants Kevin Durant. But they're not going to get anything for him. But everyone wants him. I mean, I got Rockets fans and Spurs fans and Knicks fans all in the comment section telling us we're not going to get anything for him. But they all want him. They just would like you to hand him to them.
Yeah. Like, if that was that easy, I mean, it's like handing a cookie right up from there. But it comes with a price.
Yeah, exactly.
Appreciate you, Ben. Enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the weekend, man. Appreciate you for stopping on by. Great insights, great stuff. Hope to have you back up onto the show at some point soon, man. Would love the collaboration here. Take care of yourself and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, brother. Stay safe, man.
Yes, sir. How about that, Chase?
Yeah.
Did you see the viewers? That's a lot of people.